Only one feller can tame the Wild West. Only one feller is young, dumb, and full of courage. And only one feller goes by the name of Roscoe Taylor, the Tallahassee Tween. Brought to you by KZSM.org. Tonight's episode, a catastrophic casino cruise on Catfish Creek. We begin our story by a riverbank, or more specifically, a creek bank. Catfish Creek's bank, to be even more specific. Roscoe and Checkers were sitting on a grassy knoll with the aforementioned Catfish Creek flowing to the right of them. Our two heroic hooligans were in the middle of a practically pristine picnic. They had a few sandwiches, some jerky, a couple apples, and a bucket full of garlic bread lying on an absurdly large picnic blanket. Enjoying the perfect weather and each other's company, the two were reminiscing on their adventures so far.
I tell you, Checkers, old buddy, old pal, we haven't done too bad for ourselves. So far, I'd say our Wild West hijinks have been a success.
Well, we're alive, aren't we? That's good enough for me. Any life that lets us fight crime and have picnics is a life worth living.
Out of the 13 separate adventures we've embarked on, which one was your favorite? Oh, and can you pass the garlic bread?
Sure, here you go. There's no way we've had 13.
Yup, I counted.
13?
Yup. The Tumbleweed Junction incident, the Desert Showdown with Joanna Bandana, the Prospector Peak treasure hunt, the Cattle Crack Canyon fight. I could go on.
Wow. Time flies when we're having fun, I guess.
That's wise, Checkers. And true.
I think my favorite one of our exploits would probably be one of the times we didn't get beat up or almost murdered.
That narrows the list down considerably.
Like that whole debacle with the ghost of Tony Cannoli back in the Spaghetti West. We didn't really get our butts kicked that much then, did we?
Nope. We got out of that one with our butts entirely unkicked.
Then I picked that one. That was my favorite.
Good choice. I was going to say our run-in with that underground wrestling league of barnyard animals.
You mean the cattle wrestlers? Oh yeah! That was a fun one. But I got punched in the face like 30 times that day.
Yeah, me too. Hulk Hogan gave me a black eye. It took a week for the swelling to go down, but it was still a really fun time when all was said and done.
Can you pass me an apple?
Of course, pal. Here. Anyways, all this reminiscing has got me thinking. Is there any end in sight in our travels?
Nope, I don't think so.
Whew, that's a relief. Wait, what if we die? Then will our adventures have to stop?
No way. Remember Fiddle Faddle? That little fella turned into a ghost and he's still running around doing whatever he wants. Mortality isn't nearly as frightening as it seems, Roscoe.
But that nun I met back in Cactus Springs said horses don't have souls. So they're doomed to eternal cowboy damnation.
Rule number 1 of the Wild West, Roscoe. Nuns are full of crap.
Does that count as blasphemy?
I don't know. And I don't care. Even if I did go to cowboy hell, I'd just beat up the devil and come back to the land of the living.
I admire your confidence.
Thank you. We faced a whole lot worse than cowboy Satan. I don't think we've had anything to worry about. Hey, Roscoe.
Yeah, Checkers?
Can you hold that sandwich up to my mouth? I can't really pick it up with my hooves.
Say no more. This picnic rules. I'm glad we bought this giant picnic blanket from Budget Beth's Bargain Blanket Barn.
As our two picnicking protagonists continue enjoying the afternoon, a riverboat appears, coming down Catfish Creek with a slow and steady pace.
You see that boat over there?
Checkers swallowed his sandwich and looked at the watercraft closely.
Yeah, the side of it says Captain Clark's Casino Cruise.
That name sounds familiar for some reason. Hey, the boat is coming our way.
Sure enough, Roscoe was right. The riverboat had adjusted its course towards the creek bank that Roscoe and Checkers were sitting on. As the ship sailed closer to them, they could see a man standing at the helm of the ship, clutching the steering wheel and smoking a huge cigar. He waved excitedly at our heroes as the boat came to a stop at the edge of the creek. The fella had a big, bushy mustache, and he wore a white tuxedo with a patch over his left eye.
Ahoy there! Say, your name wouldn't happen to be Roscoe Taylor, would it?
Yeah, that's me. Who are you?
I'm Captain Clark. I was friends with your parents, Mr. and Mrs. Taylor. I haven't seen you since you were just a little baby, but I could recognize that forehead of yours anywhere. The thing is as big as a billboard.
Wow, nice to meet you, Mr. Captain Clark.
Small world. Little Roscoe is all grown up. How are your parents these days, my boy?
Oof, I got bad news for you. My parents died in a freak trampoline incident 11 years ago.
Oh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
It is what it is. I've made peace with it.
Everybody said they were a couple of trampoline Icaruses. I guess they bounced a little too close to the sun.
I'm Checkers Justice, Roscoe's talking horse companion.
Well, nice to meet you, Mr. Justice. You two seem to have a mighty fine-looking picnic there. But would you like to hop aboard my riverboat for a little while? I'd love to catch up with young Roscoe here.
What do you think, Roscoe? We could box this stuff up and take a little boat riding. It could be nice.
Yeah, I sure would like to learn more about my parents, and the whole casino cruise thing has piqued my curiosity. Sure, let's just leave this stuff here for now, and we'll be back in an hour to finish the picnic. Sound good to you?
It does.
Sweet. Hey, Captain Clark?
Yes?
We'd love to come aboard.
Well, splendid. We'll extend the drawbridge in a minute. First mate, can you do the honors?
Sir, yes, sir. Captain, yes, Captain.
The extendable drawbridge stuck out to the shore, and our heroes walked onto the ship. As they entered the interior of the barge, they saw a huge room filled with card tables, roulette wheels, slot machines, and gamblers galore. Without exception, every single gambler in the room huffed and puffed on big cigars. The room was covered in a gray smog, but the gamblers hardly seemed to notice. Roscoe and Checker's entrance onto the cruise went unnoticed by most as well. That is, until Captain Clark came down a spiraling staircase onto the casino floor.
Gentlemen, welcome to Captain Clark's Casino Cruise, the finest riverboat to ever float across the Mississippi. Help yourselves to any refreshments over at our bar, and if you fancy a little lap with Lady Luck, our blackjack tables are always open.
I wanted to talk more about my parents. You said you were friends with them?
Great friends. Your father and I rode along the Oregon Trail in the same wagon. We were next door neighbors for years before we met your mother and settled down.
Wow, this is so cool. Tell me more.
Of course, my boy, but I still need to steer this vessel. I am the captain, after all. Let's say we continue this chat up in the helm.
Sounds good to me. Checkers, do you want to come up with us?
I'm okay for now. I think I'll try and gamble a little while you two chat upstairs.
Okay, see you, buddy.
Roscoe and Captain Clark head up to the top of the riverboat as Checkers trots down towards a roulette table. There were two men watching the wheel spin around and around when Checkers approached. The dealer, an old man who had 2 cigars stuffed in his mouth, and a man wearing a clergy robe, noticeably lacking a cigar of any kind. This man appeared to be a pastor of some type. Although he noticed the talking horse approaching the table, the pastor didn't take his eyes off the slowing roulette wheel. Finally, it came to a halt.
32 red.
Gosh darn it.
Howdy, partners.
Howdy, horse.
Hello, dear brother.
You want to try your hand at the wheel?
I only got hooves, but sure, I'd like a try.
That'll be 20 chips.
I don't have any, unfortunately.
I'll give you a few of mine. It's the least I can do.
Thanks. I'm Checkers Justice, and you are?
Jim. But you can call me Father Jim Wetbranch if you like. I'm a pastor at Mother Mary's First Presbyterian and Second Baptist Church.
Interesting. Aren't men of the cloth supposed to steer clear from sins, like gambling?
Haha, you aren't wrong, brother. I came aboard this vessel to convert some of these waterlogged sinners to the words of Cowboy Jesus, but I'm afraid I've been lured into this vice as well. I simply can't get enough of the thrill. I can only hope that these sins won't count since we're on international waters.
These waters aren't international, Father. We're on Catfish Creek. It's in the middle of Nevada.
Darn. Guess I'm gonna have to pray extra hard tonight.
Well, your chip's taken care of, Mr. Justice. I'll spin that wheel.
Spin away, mister. Luck is on my side today. I can just feel it.
As Checkers gambles down in the belly of the boat, Roscoe and Captain Clark are continuing their chat in the helm of the ship, while the captain steers the ship further along Catfish Creek.
So anyways, you were talking about my mom's allergy to bees?
Oh, yeah, son. She was so allergic, swelled up at the mere sight of them.
Wow.
I have so many stories about your parents I could go on for hours.
Well, please do.
Okay. This one time, your folks were showing me a prototype trampoline that used moose skin.
Captain! Captain!
What is it?
Look! The starboard bow!
The first mate handed Captain Clark a telescope, and he lifted it up to his non-patched eye. Suddenly, his face flashed with a look of excitement and horror.
It's her. It's the great monster of the briny deep.
What? Where? I can't see anything.
Over there, Roscoe. It's the beast I've been chasing for all these years. The biggest catfish in the West. Mabel Dunk.
Mabel Dunk?
Mabel Dunk!
With its head barely cresting out of the water's surface, the gargantuan catfish, apparently named Mabel Dunk, was swimming straight towards Captain Clark's casino cruise. The monstrosity was as large as a battleship, and its belly scraped along the bottom of the creek it was swimming through. It was massive and angry and headed their way.
I've only seen Mabel Dunk once before, when I took my very first riverboat out to sail its maiden voyage. That loathsome fish bit through my engine block and left me aboard a sinking ship. I was marooned 20 miles away from the coast of Madagascar. I had to swim for a week before I made it to shore. That foul creature is responsible for my missing eye. I'll kill it if it's the last thing I do.
As he spoke, the monster approached. It was getting closer and closer and closer.
Man the harpoons!
Captain, we don't have any harpoons!
Curses! Man the... What do we have?
Well, most of us crewmen have guns.
Man the guns! Fire!
The crew of the ship just pulled out their six-shooters and began blasting into the water, trying to land a hit on the colossal catfish that was approaching. It didn't seem to be of use. The fish finally reached the hull of the ship, and with one mighty tail slap, it smashed the boat, rocking all the passengers violently, and sending the downstairs inhabitants into a frenzy. Panicked yells and total confusion began to stir within the smoke-filled casino room. Checkers and Father Jim climbed up the spiral staircase to see what was taking place here.
What is taking place here?
Yeah, is something wrong? What was that smash?
Some giant monster catfish Captain Clark has a vendetta against. It has a stupid name.
And it's about to meet its maker. Once it reaches up above the water again, I'll kill it for sure.
He really hates this thing.
How can we help? Shouldn't we just head for the shore? We're on a creek. Dry land is right over there.
We won't be doing anything until that fish is dead. So help me, cowboy God.
But Captain!
No buts. Where is that blasted vermin?
I don't know. The water is too murky to see through.
Underwater, Mabel Dunk opened its giant jaws, and it was headed straight up towards the cruise that was floating on the surface.
I'm just going to start praying. Dear cowboy.
Wait. What's that? Look at the water. It's like we're sinking. Like there's some kind of vortex underneath us.
Oh, no. I've seen this once before. Men, ready your pistols and fire directly below us. Do it until you run out of bullets. Fire!
The crew shot their pistols straight below into the water as the ship was sucked lower and lower. Finally, breaking through the surface, the giant lips of an impossibly huge catfish rose up and began to engulf the entire boat.
It's eating us!
Oh no! Our heroes are being swallowed whole by a fearsome fish! Will they escape with their lives? Will Captain Clark get his revenge? Will Father Jim go to cowboy heaven if he dies? Could a catfish properly digest a riverboat? There's only one way to find out the answers to these important questions. Listen to this short commercial break.
Brand new KZSM show, Swamp Gas Uggos. Join us every week as we dive into the swamps of reality and discuss cryptids, ghosts, UFOs, and everything else that goes bump in the night. I believe.
And I'm scared.
And you'll catch us every Sunday at 10 p.m. here on KZSM.org.
Welcome back to Roscoe Taylor, the Tallahassee tween. Now let's get back to the action. When we left off, Roscoe and Checkers had abandoned their pleasant picnic for a trip aboard Captain Clark's casino cruise. All seemed well. Roscoe got to learn a little more about his family, and Checkers got to gamble. Win-win, right? Wrong. They got swallowed up by a giant catfish Mondays, am I right? What will happen next, you may be wondering? Let's find out together. The giant mouth of Mabel Dunk opened wide and sucked in the riverboat along with all of its passengers. Once it had fully ingested the vessel, the towering creek creature went back underwater and began swimming downstream. But inside the behemoth's cave-like mouth, our characters assess their situation.
We're all going to die. This is like Jonah and the whale, but it's worse because I'm in danger.
I agree with Father Jim. How in tarnation could we ever get out of this giant fish mouth? It's huge.
I really didn't think its insides would be this roomy.
It's more than enough space for us to breathe for the next hour. We need to do 3 things. First, calm the passengers down. I don't know if they know we've been eaten alive yet, but when they find out, I'm sure most of them will be unhappy about it. Second, let's hatch a plan to get out of this blubbering beast's belly. Third, we need to kill the monstrosity.
I don't think we should kill this thing while we're in it, sir.
Why? This is our big opportunity. Look at how vulnerable its mouth looks. Our chances at murdering this minnow have never been greater.
I don't know.
I'll go down into the casino and handle the first step. The rest of you need to start on the second step.
The captain walked down the spiraling staircase to help ease the tensions of the passengers below the deck.
Whatever you say, old man. I'm not too keen on staying in this thing myself. Father Jim, Roscoe, let's brainstorm.
I tried praying. I'm all out of ideas now. How about you, young man?
We could try breaking its teeth. Do catfish even have teeth?
Yeah, but they're all super small and there's a million of them. What if we set up some TNT and blow a hole out of the dang thing?
I don't think they carry dynamite on this riverboat. But even if they did, everything around us is soaked in either creek water or fish spit. Nothing would light up down here.
One thing is still lit, even after we got gulped down by this guppy. The captain's big cigar was still burning. I can smell the stink rising from the casino floor beneath us. I bet their cigars are lit as well. That's it.
What?
The cigars. Let's go downstairs.
Everyone rushed down into the casino as Roscoe yelled out to all of the gamblers.
Everyone, start smoking as many cigars as you can. If we can make enough smog in here, the catfish will cough us out.
My word. That's a grand idea, little Roscoe. You are your father's son after all. Smoke away, boys. Let's hotbox this effort.
And smoke they did. Every one of the crowd of panicked gamblers pulled out their cigars and started puffing away. Soon the entire room was enveloped in a thick gray mist. The smog rose out of the riverboat into the greater mouth of the giant catfish, and after the passengers of the casino cruise smoked roughly 10 years off their average life expectancy, the monstrous Mabel Dunk began a mighty cough.
Brace yourselves. Hold on tight. We're getting coughed out.
As the gill-covered Goliath swam up to the surface of the creek, it coughed hard, sending billows of smoke and one riverboat flying out of its massive mouth, flying maybe a little too high in the air.
Well, now we're screwed.
What do you mean, boy?
It was supposed to spit us out, not up. This boat is flying up in the air at 100 miles an hour.
When we hit the ground, we'll crash and die.
What he said.
Roscoe was right. The catfish coughed them high, high, high up into the blue sky, far above the clouds. The captain, Roscoe, Checkers, and Father Jim all climbed up the stairs to the upper deck to see how far they were from the ground.
Yucks. I guess that's it, boys. Nobody can survive a fall from this height. Not without a parachute.
Hey, look at that flock of birds down there. If the boat falls on top of them in just the right way, maybe it could cushion... Never mind, we just smashed right through them.
Checkers, I have another idea.
So do I. Cowboy Jesus has clearly abandoned us, so I'm converting to Hare Krishna now. If you guys need me, I'll be on the lower decks meditating and trying not to think about our imminent deaths.
See you, Jim.
See ya.
Anyways, Roscoe, you were saying
We need to go back to our picnic spot.
along Catfish Creek? Why?
I'll explain once we get there. I think we can save the ship. I'll use my hat as a parachute for the two of us, but we need to get to the picnic stat.
Are you abandoning ship, Roscoe?
No, Captain. I'm gonna save everybody. Just try to keep the gamblers calm.
Very well. I'll do what I can.
And with that, Roscoe hopped on Checkers and the two sprung off the side of the airborne barge and fell down towards the ground when Roscoe pulled out his hat to soften the landing.
Right there. Aim for our picnic spot.
Trying my best, buddy.
As they touched the ground, our heroes ran to the lunch spot with haste.
Our picnic blanket is huge. I think if we stretch it out, we can bounce it a few times to get rid of its downward momentum.
Are you sure about this? Didn't your parents die in a
Freak trampoline accident, yes, but I'm not them, Checkers. And we haven't got a second to lose.
Checkers bit on one side of the huge picnic blanket and Roscoe grabbed the other. They tied each corner to a nearby pine tree and watched with anticipation. The riverboat was getting closer to the ground, right above the blanket. It was falling closer and closer and closer until finally the casino cruise ship landed on the stretched out makeshift trampoline. It slowed down tremendously as the blanket was pulled tighter and tighter before, suddenly,
It worked! The ship bounced back up into the air.
Look, it's coming down again.
the boat bounced up and back down onto the blanket again. It repeated this a few times until it had gotten rid of all of the kinetic energy it had left. Once all was safe and sound, Captain Clark walked off the ship and climbed down onto the ground. He was followed by a crowd of gamblers who were all vomiting uncontrollably.
Well, you saved the day, kid. Great job.
Thanks, Captain.
Here, you can just call me Clark if you want. After all, we're practically family.
I'm just glad everything worked out all right. That could have been pretty bad.
You still got your old man in you, I see. That trampoline would have made him mighty proud.
What'll you do now?
Well, that's tough to say. First, I need to get this boat back in the water, and I have a feeling all of those fine patrons are going to ask for a refund. Then I'm going to need to wipe all the bird guts off the hull. Then after that, I'm going to hunt down that Mabel Dunk. How about you two?
We're probably going to mosey along to another adventure somewhere. Will I ever see you again, Clark?
Of course you will, Roscoe. Of course you will.
All right. Checkers, let's get on out of here.
Just then, Father Jim wandered out of the riverboat wearing a hastily thrown together orange robe, and before he started vomiting like all the other gamblers, he gave Checkers a thumbs up and a nod.
Sounds good to me, little buddy. Let's ride.
As our story comes to a close, all seems more or less okay, and the day is saved thanks to Roscoe, Checkers, and cartoon physics. But this broadcast isn't over yet. Hear the next episode of the night after this short commercial break.